today we're working with this notion of yoga calls us to do our duty with skillful action. So I don't know about you, but these times are crazy. They've been crazy well, they're always crazy. They've just gotten crazier the last few years. And about 3 years ago, I just said, all right, I'm in a place where I'm if not semi-retired. I have a very flexible schedule and I can arrange things on my own. I've always loved this. The Sanskrit word is seva. It's selfless service. It's service to others. And we can do that in so many ways. If you're busy and just going crazy, you can't like squeeze out any more hours in the day, but you can figure out other ways to be of service to the greater good. So yes, I'm of service to my daughters and my granddaughters and people in the family, but like to people I don't even know, how can I take it out a little bit bigger? So I started, I got, big training, big deal, but I can register people to vote. I am a judge at a polling place, so I help run the elections. It's tiny stuff, but I chose to do that. Out of all the things you can possibly do, you have to make some choices, and you make skillful choices based on what else you have on your plate, what's going on, but you do what you can do. And some days I feel like it's just a drop in the bucket and it's not worth anything. And then other days I realize that if we all just did something, no matter how small, then things are just better. So we're studying the Bhagavad Gita, and it's this classic story, very ancient. If you ever had to read Beowulf in college or in a high school, it's a little bit like that. It's plot thin to some degree, but it's really very interesting. But essentially, Arjuna, who's kind of the lead character, and his buddy Krishna. Now, Krishna is otherwise known as Shakti, the big dude, universal energy god, whatever you want to call it, but he's come down and in the form of this friend of Arjuna. And Arjuna's in this between a rock and a hard place. The armies have massed on either side. So we thought, oh, that's kind of cool for this one too, because, and the problem is he's got to fight, but the problem is his family side is fighting the other branch of the family. So it's family against family, which in some ways that's all wars are. You're killing other humans in some ways, but at any rate, it's a metaphorical war. And at those times, that was the best metaphor. There's a movie that was made some years ago called The Legend of Bagger Vance, from a book. That's actually, the book's very good. Movie's nice, the book's really good. But he took it to a golf tournament because and he explains why that is. But at any rate, Krishna is there and guiding Arjuna, and Arjuna says, I can't do this. So if we've ever felt at times where it's like, I can't do this, I'm just going to do nothing. So I know that my partner, Jerry, he had fairly recently moved to Texas, and then 2017 election, he didn't vote. He didn't register to vote here in Texas. He didn't vote absentee in Maine. He didn't vote. So, I gave him years worth of earfuls. So now he votes every single time, and he's right up there. But I said, your non-action is an action. Not doing something is still an action. It's still a choice. So then we have to get skillful with the action. So it's between tamas, which is steady and slow, or totally couch potato. It's almost into depression, to rajas, which is energized and excited, or it can be hyper, like you need to take a chill pill. So what we're working towards is sattva to the middle. And so this battle lines, we hug the midline. And that's the skillful action of working between tamas and rajas, between the rock and the hard place, that we're here. Non-action is still in action. So we'll work with skillful action today by hugging in. And take a good seat. And as Krishna counsels us to open, it's where the universe speaks to you. You soften, you trust something bigger. And then he counsels us to engage, to hug the midline. And that's where the universal touches the individual. And you come to your breath. When you find that place in the middle, you come right to your heart, right to the center of your being. And there you recognize who you really are. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna keeps asking Arjuna, who are you without your game, without your resume, without your doing or not doing? Who are you? And you are that place in the middle, the still, quiet sweetness. Draw your palms together in front of your heart center. Take a big inhale, exhale, cleansing breath. And inhale to Om. Om. Release the hands, flutter the eyes open. And come first to just lie on your back. But before you come down on your back, take a blanket and roll it. Either if you've done this before and you know, yes, I can take a whole roll. If your back feels pretty tight, maybe just a half roll. And just place it, have it beside you so you can pull it up later. Come to lie on your back. Oh, this feels so good. Knees bent, feet on the floor. And just sink into the tamas quality, the heavy, the weighted, the unmovable, the stillness. And hover there. And sometimes what happens if you stay here long enough is you take a nap. But just notice here that the energy is fairly low. It's steady. And there's nothing wrong with tamas or rajas. It's we can take anything to an illogical extreme. You just feel the back along the floor. Notice how this sacrum is weighted. Are you weighted more on one side than the other? We usually do. Maybe you just by noticing it, you begin to shift the weight. What are your shoulder blades doing on the back? For me, often one shoulder blade, my left shoulder blade feels like it's slightly higher than the right one. So maybe I snuggle a little bit and get the shoulder blades a little more evenly connected. In the center back of the head on the earth. And you just gently let the head be heavy. And as the heart, the sternum lifts slightly towards the chin slightly pulls away. So there's a natural curve in the back of the neck. And while we could stay here the whole time, eventually something would start to complain. And it probably wouldn't take more than a couple of minutes. Like you'd want to straighten your legs or we want something else. It's just our nature. So on your next inhale, roll to the side, sit up for a bit and take the roll. And the roll is going to go right at the bottom tips of the sternum. The arms will be above. So the arms are above it. And the tops of the shoulders are just kissing the floor. If the chin is going way back towards the wall, towards your head, then you can put another thin blanket under your head to just lift it a tiny bit, or unroll the blanket. Let me just check. Brian, how's that doing? The arms go in a T position, stretch them out. There you go. It should, now we've moved a little more rajas, would you agree? Brought a little more energy into it, a little bit of fire. For some people who are very tight here, there's a lot of fire going on. And so let's fire it up just a tiny bit more. Press into the four corners of the feet and gently, not a big pull, but gently pull the heels back towards the hips. That helps you tilt the sits bones more towards the floor and you get a little bit more of a low back curve. Keep that, and the inner thighs move towards your heels as the tailbone lengthens long to firm the low belly. Now we're firing it up just a little bit more and moving up that continuum towards, but if you get too far, so what you're trying to do is control the heat and cool knobs to get you right in the middle place where there's a little bit of energy and a little bit of release and heaviness. And then bring your awareness to your breath. I could stay here a long time until what would happen? You'd start to become uncomfortable. Something would fall asleep or tingle. So we kind of leave it wanting more, saying, oh, this feels great. And on your next inhale, roll to one side, use the strength of your arms, and slide your blanket out of the way. Come to hands and knees. You can pad your knees as you want. No, you can slide it over and face the center of the room, coming to the hands and knees. And begin to round and arch the back. So this is a little bit of rajas, but mostly it's kind of quiet and stable. Rounding and arching with the breath. So as you inhale, sits bones lift and the pelvic floor widens, shoulder blades slide down the back, collarbone head lifts. Exhale, tailbone tucks. Lift your side waistline, bow your head. Really work the spine, warming it up, undulating it, round and arch. Continue on at your own pace, matching the movement, partnering the movement with the breath. The next time you come through center, pause and table, claw the floor, spread the fingers, claw the floor, and shift your weight. So if you rock all the weight out to the heel of the hands, it's very Tamas, it's very like, but you're not using any muscle energy. So fire it up a little bit more, move the weight to the index finger, base of the index finger, base of the thumb, claw the floor. So the whole hand is down, Brian, if you can get it down. Yeah, so you're not on ridge tops. I mean, that's an interesting stretch. If you can do that, that's hard for me, but yeah, you can do that. But try this, but shift the weight more to the base of the index finger, base of the thumb, and you'll feel the muscles in the arms fire up a little bit more. And then Brian, for you, micro bend your elbows out to the side just a tiny bit so they don't lock. Now the muscles have to work. From here, keeping that, tuck the toes of the right foot, slide it back. Tailbone to xiphoid, so lift the belly up towards the spine. Lift the right leg just hip height with the inner edge of the right thigh moving up faster, the outer right hip moving down so your hips are level. Keep that and stretch the opposite arm forward. So if we just stayed here, it's very stable, relatively so. There might be a little wobble, which is fine. But let's bring a little more fire into it. Exhale, knee towards the elbow. And inhale, extend. Exhale, contract, draw in. Inhale, extend. Continue at your own pace, a few more rounds. And the next time you come in through center, pause, come down, settle. Again, claw the floor, shift the weight off of the outside heel of the hand to the base of the index finger, base of the thumb, stretch the left leg back. Inhale, lift the left leg. The inner edge is moving up faster. The outer left hip moves down. Flex the foot, push into, so Katie, drop your outer left hip. There you go. So you see you have to use a little more core. If I hike up here, I can let some stuff go. So now I have to fire it up just a little, just a tiny bit more. Stretch the opposite arm. And then begin to exhale, knee to elbow. And extend. With the breath, exhale on the contraction. Inhale as you expand and stretch out. And the next time you come to bird dog, release hand and knee, come back, knees apart, toes together. Shift your hips back towards your heels if that's doable for you, or a puppy pose where the hips are right over the knees is an option. The forehead can be on a block, stacked hands, or if it's comfortable to go all the way to the floor, it's kind of nice to keep the head, neck, spine in alignment. Just take a bit of a rest, a stretch, come back up, stretch your arms out, come back up. So now, round two, a little more to the fiery side, to the active side. Tuck both sets of toes, both feet. Just kick your right, sorry, kick your right toes a little bit off to the right. The toes are on the floor. Stretch the left leg back. And let's build it this way. So just come on, it's like gate pose, where you're on the inner edge of the left foot and the left hand's on the left elbow. Yep. And then lift the left leg so it's hip height. You can stop at any of these bus stop points. So if you want the leg back on the floor, yeah. So that's where my kickstand, you figure out how far back behind you need to put it to keep yourself level. And then also the standing hand, if you rock all the weight to the outside heel of the hand, you will bring more suffering into your life. So you need it, don't let me get in your way. Pull the energy up rather than send all the weight down into the floor, lift away from the floor. Here's an option. So Jill and Sherry, this was an interesting turn, but at any rate, yeah, bend your knee, take hold of the foot. You've seen it before, but I'm reminding that we should turn and face me, yes. All right, now kick the foot into the hand into the foot, and spin the heart up to the ceiling. This is fiery. This is more balancing if you want to, and then release the foot, come back, and come into an easy dog and pedal it out. What? Yeah, I forgot on this one. All right, so as we do this, so lower your knees to the floor, just trying to figure out how to get you there in the thing. So you guys shift around and your head will go that way and you'll be here. You guys then turn to the other side, so you're all on your left hand. Is that correct? Yeah, so what I did, for you guys want to know, Sherry and Jill were facing the parking lot. So I'm trying to figure out how to get everything. So then roll to your left side. So put the kickstand down with your left foot, yes, sorry. And stretch it out. So I will not mirror you here. And come into gate pose on this side, hand on the hip. You can stay here and then lift away from your standing hand. So pull up the arm, lift the leg just hip height. So Katie, if you move this foot back behind you a tiny bit more, you might find a little more, yeah, see, a little bit more stable. Now, a lot of tailbone lengthens and the tailbone comes slightly forward, the xiphoid comes to the tailbone. Stretch the arm up, you can stay here, or if you want to play, whee, bend it, open it, kick the foot into the hand, curl back. And release. Then go back into downward facing dog. On your next inhale, lift your right leg high behind you. Bend the knee, open the knee up to the ceiling and go wild thing. But notice what happens is your left shoulder wants to collapse. So lift your left armpit up a little bit more, even as you're opening, trying to tap down on the left side almost. On your next inhale, come back to center and exhale the leg down. Nice. Lift the other leg. Inhale, rise up. Oh. And stabilize the arms. Be steady there. That's a lot of tamas going on in the arms and the hands. And the right shoulder now will want to collapse. So you lift the inner right armpit as you bend the left knee and open. It's like you're stacking your hips on top of each other. Oh, feel that stretch along the side body? Yeah. Oh. Inhale, back to center. Nice. All right. And then walk your hands back to your toes, forward bend at the back of your mat. Exhale, deep fold or half forward bend. Inhale, hands on your hips, come up halfway. Steady the legs, shrug the shoulders, lift the head of the arm bones, and the wildness comes when you press down through the steady legs, hinge from the hips, rise up and release. All right, turn to face the middle. Yeah, got some tricks to learn here. Step to the top of your mat. All right, inhale, rise up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, prepare, step your right leg back straight like lunge. Light on the fingertips or bring blocks under your hands. Exhale, straighten the front leg, bend the back. Inhale, come back to lunge. Exhale, straighten, bend. Inhale, lunge. Continue on a few at your own pace, straightening, bending, bending, straightening. And next time you're in lunge, pause. Step your back foot up a little bit to shift all your weight to the front foot. And then there's two versions to this. You can come into a version of Warrior 3 where the spine and the leg are on the same level, or come into a full standing split. We're taking the heart towards your ankle. Whee! Bring the leg in for a landing. Hands on the hips. Shrug the shoulders. Lift the head of the arm bones. On the next inhale, push down to rise up. And release. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, prepare and step your left leg back. Is that correct? Good. It's a pop quiz, just see if you're listening. Because I knew the answer, of course. So Brian, your front knee, bring it back so it's over the ankle and walk the blocks back to on either side of your foot. A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit. So the hands are right under the shoulders. Nice. Now scissor the legs together. That means pretend you were in roller skates and you did not want to do the splits. And then lighten up on your fingers, like no weight on your fingers. They're just there to steady you. And then bend, straighten, bend. And some of you are even practicing, look, Ma, no hands. And you're practicing the balance. That gets very Rajas. But just try to take the weight off your hands. Notice the tendency to drop it. That's all the heavy. Heavy's not bad because we want to be, you know, gravity's a good thing. We want to be weighted. We want to be stable, secure. It's when we throw it in where it's not needed. And then the next time you come into lunge, pause, hop the back foot up just enough to get more of your weight on the front leg. And then again, you can come into the Warrior 3 where the hands are on the blocks and the spine and the leg are the same level, or you can come into a full standing split, taking the heart towards your ankle. The inner edge of the lifted leg moves up faster. The outer hip moves down to square the hips. That means the leg won't go up as high. Then bring it in for a landing. Hands on your hips. Inhale, rise up. And release. Shake off. All right, good. Let's do another side. So face me. Take a wide stance. Have a block near you. Turn your right toes towards the short edge of the mat. The left foot is roughly parallel, the outer edge is parallel to the back edge. Now, how wide a stance should you take? You want to play that edge. You want the sattva. So this is way too stable. No fun's going to happen here. This is, I don't know if I'd call it fun, but there's going to be a lot of fire that goes on if I hold this. So you kind of go to the fiery edge and then walk it in a little bit. Play it. Now, work the four corners of both feet. We tend to roll to the inner edge of the back foot. That tends to be more weighted. So work a little more out the outer edge, tack down the outer edge of the foot. I even feel a stretch on the outer ankle when I do that enough. Scissor the legs in, bend the front knee, and you can either place the right elbow on the thigh. Just make sure the knee does not go forward of the ankle, Brian. So you can take a wider stance. That tells me you can have more fun. Now, notice a tendency, I did it. I got a lot of weight right here. So use more legs and less weight here. Feel the legs really start to work there. And breathe. You can also reach the hand down to a block. And if you do that, hug the knee to the shin to the knee. Full pose, should you want to do it, is behind the foot. And then you hug the knee into the arm into the leg into the arm. Wherever you are, take your top arm forward, pull the head of the left arm bone back. So you're trying to stack shoulder on shoulder. Spin the ribs up to the sky and then spin the arm along. So I do it this way. Caroline does it, which I like too, is nice that way. If you come up and over, it gets stuck. because you have to like rotate the head of the arm bone in the socket. Too much information. Lighten up on the hand, pull away from the floor on the hand, make the legs do their job. Nice. And inhale, rise up. Oh. I know, right? To go to the basic poses really deeply, slowly. I turn both feet in for now, a little bit parallel, and we'll fold forward. You can have the block in front of you, or if the fingertips, so the spine is long, you're not rounding. Bend the knees a little bit, work to the outer edge of the feet, hug the inner edges towards each other. Inner thighs go back and apart, and then the tailbone just anchors down in between the legs. That helps you lift the low belly and engage the core. And then you stretch. Once that's engaged, then you can start to round slightly in the upper back. So it's more about the low back you want to be lengthened, not rounded. Inhale, come back up to center. Turn your left toes out. Back foot stays the same. Block can be on the inside or not. First start with the knee right over the ankle. Start with the elbow. Just go ahead and put your weight there, like do it. Right hand onto the right hip. Scissor the legs. Inner thighs are both moving back and the tailbone lengthens down, and particularly your left sit bone is moving towards the front of the room and then dives down towards your inner front heel. That's pretty sophisticated, but have fun with it if it makes sense. What that does is it pulls the bum's not sticking way out the back, it's pulling it in. Keep that, scissor the legs, lengthen through the spine and get light on the hand. It's just there for looks, essentially, because we can shoot it out if we want to, unless it makes you fall down. Yes, there you go. So that means my legs weren't working. Top arm comes forward, pull the head of the arm bone in, and slide it up over the ears. You can even do a half beach babe where you press the head into the hand. Now push the head way back. You'll feel more stretch in the side ribs. Get lighter wherever your hand, if you stretch the hand, have it touch something, Sherry. So either the block or the elbow. So bring it back, bring the block back a little bit. There you go. There, so you have something to ground to. And you push away from it. Inhale, release. Ooh, come back up to center. We've been out long. See if your legs come back together again. All right. All right. Let's do a balance pose. Where would we be in the Sattvic triangle without some balance? This time, let's add a little rajas. Block. If you don't have a block, if you fold a towel a couple of times, it will give you an unstable surface. So you kind of want something that's going to roll on you. This is more interesting with these foam blocks because they give. If you did it on wood or heavy cork blocks, it'd probably be kind of no different than doing it on the floor. But with more movement, if you've got carpet, stand out on the carpet, and that gives you more play. It's like I always call it the boogie board, but isn't it called the bosun board in a gym? The bosun. It has a little round thing underneath and you try to stay on it. Yes. Yeah, I can stay on it. Yes, thank you, Mary. Or whoever that was. Yeah, sorry, can't see from here. All right, step up with let's try your left foot. Step up on your left foot. And notice exactly what's going on with the left foot. So the right toes are still on the floor. They're still giving you a little balance, so you're not having to work yet. But a lot of times in these standing poses, when we move into tree, we start to pay attention to this leg because it's bending. This is the leg that needs the attention. So lift the toes on the standing foot, the left foot, and notice which of the four corners of the feet do you tend to favor here? Like, are you pushing down more with the ball of the foot nearest the big toe? The outer heel tends to be a fun one. Almost nobody rolls to the baby toe side of the foot, but it could happen. Some people roll to the inner heel and the big toe side of the foot, that collapse the arch. So see if you can adjust it and even it out. Find the Sattvic place for your foot. And then draw the energy up the leg. The outer hip hugs in. So a lot of times we kick in, so we hug in. And as you lift up through the leg, the right toes will just naturally start to come away from the floor. I don't have to lift them. Turn the right knee out and place the foot either right on the ankle, so part of the toes are on the block, hands can be on the hips or together. You can have it on the calf, just don't have it on the knee joint. Be above or below the knee joint. I usually keep it low when I'm talking because I really can't chew gum and walk at the same time. Draw the palms together in towards the center, and as you press the palms in, that's the same amount of press that you have with the foot on the leg on the foot. The foot's not pressing harder than the leg's hugging in evenly. That's a lot of work. You find a focus point. If you come out, you just do a graceful creative exit like you meant to. Inhale, stretch your branches up if you want. Keep breathing, you keep your focus, keep your breath. And then start to get crazy with it. Get really rajas. Like take the leg away and see like, woo! This is a Caroline inspired one. She likes to do these. Oh, and release, yeah, freeze. No, come off. So I find the block really works that standing leg in a way that the floor only does not. Side B. Yeah, if you flip your block, if it's a nice soft foamy one, otherwise you're kind of got the same imprint of the other foot. It's not required, but I just like the freshness of it. Like turning your pillow over at night, you know, it's nice and cool. All right, so the standing leg, lift the toes. Notice which of the four corners, is it the same corner as the other foot or have you gotten creative? Our bodies are just quite funny that way. They do all kinds of things. The inner arch lifts, don't let it collapse, but you distribute the weight evenly around the foot. Then hug the outer right hip in and lift up and away from the floor. The left toes just naturally start to get lighter. They may still touch the floor, but they get lighter. Hands on the hips or flailing around, that's fine with me too. Turn the left knee out and press the foot somewhere on the leg, ankle, just not the knee joint. And then the hands together, that's the same. So it's not a killer push. And if one hand pushed too much, it would throw you off. And breathe, find your focus point, keep the breath flowing. And notice how on the soft block, I rock from the heel to the toe side, from the inner to the outer. It's making the muscles along the legs and the hip flexors really work. Grow your branches if you want to go to that place. And then get crazy. Like try to throw yourself off. Just notice what you're gonna fall on. Don't step on your glasses, my glasses. All right, and release. Good job. All right. Come to your bellies with the heads in the center. We're gonna do lizard here, so come onto your forearms. If any of you want to pad your forearms, put a blanket under this. Sometimes the elbows start to get unhappy. Again, might be fine here now. If we stayed long enough, you would feel it. Spread the fingers, the whole palm presses into the earth. Hug an imaginary block between your elbows. Stretch your legs long and roll the inner edges of the thighs up to the ceiling. The outer hips move down. That way you can click all 10 toenails down. You get the baby toe side down. Tailbone lengthens in between and the heart pulls forward. So Brian, walk your elbows forward a little bit, your arms forward a bit. Nice. Now see, do you feel you can get a little more opening there? When the elbows start to move back, we're just playing with our shoulder joints in ways that they might not like. So you keep hugging an imaginary block between your elbows and pull the forearms back towards your hips as the heart moves forward. If you feel this in the low back, it means you've lost your legs. So you have to spread through the toes more, click the baby toe side down, squeeze an imaginary block between your shins. The inner thighs lift, so you're trying to lift the hip crease energetically away from the floor. Tailbone lengthens like crazy, pull up the belly more airbag into the back of the spine. Then you can lengthen on the inhale and curl back. Much deeper when the legs are working, no pain. If you're feeling pain, you just slide the arms forward a little bit and come down a little more. You have the volume control. Now, slide your right knee up. You can put a blanket under it on the hard floor. If you're already on carpet, that's fine. Oh, just to where it comes even with the hip, not farther. And just play here a little bit. Walk the foot out so it's right in line with the knee. So in other words, you can do this, but see if you can do like a right angle. Yeah, good. And the inner edge of the arch is on the floor. You may feel something here, you may not. Sometimes just releasing then the left side ribs to the floor, you start to feel a stretch along. I'm very tight right here today, this week. So I'm feeling it on my right side more than my left. You might feel it more in the inner groin here in the hip, on the bent leg side. And play. All right, let's take it a little step further. Jill's like, no, please God, no. All right, do an open twist. So you just cross your left forearm forward a little bit, perch up on your right fingertips. Got to use the legs. If you feel this in the low back, your legs are taking a break. They're two rajas. They've got a, I mean, two tapas, tamas, tapas, that would be good. Where can we go for tapas? I'm hungry. Two tamas. They're too lazy. They're too heavy. So you want to engage them more.
The best ones are in Washington, D.C.
I know. I have some favorite restaurants in D.C. Mary said the best ones are in D.C. And inhale, just come back to center. Change to the other arm, leg stays the same. Perch up on the left fingertips. Now, this is a deeper twist. You've got to be really careful with the legs or you'll feel this in the sacrum. So the legs are strong. You're still scissoring the legs together. How do you do that in this pose? Still clicking the baby toe side of the straight leg down and you spin over. Some of you might even be able to slide the right arm all the way underneath you and then rest your head on a block or your hand. This is the total ski accident pose. Like you're looking down at someone who just fell. Oh. But now we add the stretch across the shoulder. If that's uncomfortable, stay up on your forearm and just play into the stretch. Do not let it go into your back. That means your legs just quit. Get them off the couch. Make them get a job. It's the teenage sons, right? Not that only sons sit on the couch, but my granddaughters do a lot of that. Inhale, come back to center. Straighten back out. Rest your forehead on your hands. And windshield wiper the legs. Side beat, come back up onto the forearms, engage the legs. It's like you're trying to lift your belly button away from the floor. It may not come, but it's in that direction. Slide the left knee up, just even with the hip, and then open the knee out so it's at a right angle. The foot is flexed, like a little frog leg. And then stretch the toes back, click the baby toe side of the straight leg down, your right leg. Lengthen the tailbone, pull the belly button up and in, and stretch the heart forward. As you lengthen, try to move the armpits, particularly the right armpit, as far away from the right pelvis, the right shoulder, the right hip as you can. You'll feel a deeper stretch all along that front side belly. It's subtle, but it works. Now open twist. Your right arm crosses slightly in front of you, perch up on your left fingertips and turn towards your bent leg. If you feel this in the low back, you remember what you've done. You've let the legs go, so you have to come out of it. You can't fix it in it. Lengthen the spine, tailbone lengthens, belly button pulls up, xiphoid to tailbone. The xiphoid process is the bottom tip of your sternum, and you're connecting it to the tailbone, so you pull the ribs down. Then you can lift up without pinch. No pinch, pinch, pinch. My 6-year-old granddaughter's gotten into like little pinch. She's sort of, when we're going to sleep, she's in a sleepover and it's like, Arden, hun, not liking this stage much. All right, come onto your left forearm, turn away from your leg, but again, stabilize the legs. You need a lot of tamas there. You've got to hug in to the midline. And then you can open, get wild, but not too wild, to the other side. If it's accessible for you here, you can always put a block under your head, although I didn't bring one. Oh, I need one. On this side, this is my tighter side. You may be able to Come down. You may not. Oh. And breathe. So if here's a little test. If you go into the deeper twist and you can't breathe, what is that telling you? Yeah, like pull out, man. Back it up. Yeah, I know. It's like the body, the body really does think the driver of the body is stupid. That would be you or me. And it keeps sending us signals and we don't listen. And then it really hurts us. And we go, oh, why did my back blow out? Why did... Inhale your way back up. Straighten out. Oi is right. Windshield wiper the legs. Wiggle the hips. And push back to a child's pose. Knees apart, toes together. This is where in the pre-shutdown days, I would come around and do a back press. Just imagine how good that would feel. To press the hips back to really stretch the back out. And inhale your way up to seated. So sit on your heels for a minute, face the center of the room, and shift your weight over to your right bum. So you're sitting all the way on the right bum, the feet are off to the left. Your left bum is high, so we're not trying to even it here. Kind of call mermaid pose. So merman pose, we can do merman pose. So you're sitting all the way off your feet onto the right bum, right? And just breathe here for a minute. Now, hug the legs to the midline. The inner thighs are still moving back. So it's as though you're trying to push your sits bones back and apart. And take the left hand to the outside of the right knee. And on the inhale, lengthen. On the exhale, twist from the ribs. Keep the head in line with the sternum. So you're twisting towards the right, towards the hand that's fully on the floor. Yeah. You're using the left hand to push against the leg to help you lift up. This hip can come up as high as you need to. You're not trying to force it. You lean. You can lean. Lean in. Isn't that the book? Like lean in. You can lean in. Yeah, that's right. And then see if you can cross your right arm behind you and maybe take hold of the inner left elbow and hold on to somewhere on the top leg and see if you can spin a little bit more to the right. You're holding on here. You might even be able to take it to the inside of the top leg of your left leg. It's like I'm the bound mermaid, merman. Inhale, come back up. Come to center, stretch both legs out. It's a weird one. Yeah. All right, so you bend your knees and you shift all the way over onto your left bum. The feet are kind of out from under. You might be sitting on a little bit of your left heel, but it's not tucked under you. So, and the knees can be stretched farther apart if that works. So Jill, you might work with opening the knees more. The classic pose is where it's very tidy and mermaid-like. This is like, nah, I'm wearing jeans. It's like, right? All right, so you and hug the legs together. The inner thighs move back, meaning you're trying to send the sits bones, as if you could move the sits bones apart, you're sending them back and wide apart. Lengthen on the inhale, pull the belly up and in, and stretch the right hand to the outside of the left knee. You can walk the left hand back around. So you're inhaling, lengthening from tailbone to crown. Exhale, a little more twist in the ribs. Inhale, lengthen, a little more twist on the exhale. So it's gradual. You're not slamming into the brick wall of the twist. You're kind of saying, what happens if I go a tiny bit more? Oh, that starts to pinch. Let me back out of that, see if I can engage more tamas, more strength, more stability to get a little more freedom, a little more wildness. Pulling back. And then if you want to try the hold, The left hand reaches behind the back and maybe takes hold of the inner left thigh. Maybe you take hold of some part of the leg. So it'd be your left, yeah, you left, and pull your right elbow back so you can grab it. There you go. Now walk the right hand forward, kind of starting to walk towards the knee. And notice where you're breathing into now is the kidney area into your back forearm. So breathe into the forearm, really push back into it. That helps you lift the chest even more. Seems counterintuitive. And inhale your way back to center. Roll all the way on your back. We'll do, or you can do upright pigeon if you would prefer to do upright pigeon. But we will do lie on your back pigeon, a little more Thomas pigeon. Thomas's pigeon, Thomas the pigeon. All right, so bend the knees, place just where we started, on your back. Notice if there's any difference. Draw your right knee in slightly to the right, towards the right armpit. Cross the body with the shin, so it's like you were in pigeon. And shovel scoop the arms, shovel scoop under the shin, the thigh, the lower leg. And maybe the right elbow can wedge into the inner right thigh and push the right thigh away from the belly, away from the ribs, as the left hand is pulling the foot closer to the left shoulder. Until you feel a nice stretch in the hip flexor there. So you're, what? Oh, well, let me rephrase. Do you feel a stretch in the hip flexor that makes you think I should do this more? Yeah. Or I hate this teacher, I hate yoga, and why did I come? Okay, there you go. That's too far. That's like not breathing in a pose. You can straighten the left leg if you want for a little bit more opening. And there's another version if you're fairly open and you're just not feeling enough pizzazz here. You can place the foot into the crook of the opposite elbow. This is why it's called baby cradle. And the arm pulls around and you hold. Oh, I have to do it with my other knee bent. That's deep and not good for this side. So again, you figure out what you need. You have control of the volume button. If your body's screaming at you, listen and stretch both legs out long. Arms up, stretch out, and notice any difference between the two sides. One is quivering in anticipation of its turn, bend both knees. The other one is grateful to be done. Draw the left knee up and slightly over towards the left shoulder and shovel scoop under. Press the leg back into the arms as the arms are trying to pull the shin towards the chest. The left elbow can snuggle maybe into the inner left thigh, pushing the top of the left thigh away from the belly, away from the ribs. As the right arm pulls the foot closer towards your right shoulder. Oh, again, you can pause here, can straighten the right leg, or do full baby cradle wrap, any version in between. And breathe into the sensation, asking it to soften. And if you're holding your breath or you're feeling like you're about ready to rise up and scream, then back off a little bit until you still feel a stretch, but not a scream. That's too much rajas. Come to the sattvic middle, to the side, right down the middle line. Otherwise, you're going to get tossed into one army or the other. We just settle in through the middle and release, stretch both arms. With the left leg straight, bend the right knee and place the right foot on top of the left thigh, arms in a T position. If you bend the left foot a little bit, just enough to push the foot on the floor and bump your hips out to the right, then straighten the left leg again. Roll so the hips are stacked on top of each other, but both shoulders are on the floor. It's a different version of a twist. For me, my right knee is not to the floor. If it goes too far to the floor, then the shoulder blade has to come up. So you want to keep, again, that place in the middle where you're moving as far to the knee is going as far to the left as it can with the shoulder blade, the right shoulder blade firmly on the ground. The head can look straight up towards the ceiling, or if you want a little twist in the neck, you can look out over your right fingertips. The left hand can rest on the top of the bent knee, the right knee, and help weight it, pull it down just a little bit, even as you're pulling away from it. This is one I know I should do more. And inhale back to center. Shift your hips back to the middle. Just pause a moment and notice. Feels so good. And let's just bump the hips first. So bump the hips over to the left, straighten the right leg, and bend the left knee and put the left foot on top of the right knee or thigh, somewhere on the top of the leg. And then drop your left knee towards the right. The right hand helps and kind of weights and pulls it down. The shoulder blades firmly on the earth, evenly weighted. So the left shoulder blade gets light here. See if you can scoot your right shoulder blade over to the right a little bit more so the left one can come down. So as the ribs are moving towards the left, the leg and the low belly are moving towards the right, towards the floor, towards the right. The head, again, it can look straight up towards the ceiling or turn and gaze over the left fingertips. And breathe into any of the tightness that you might feel here. If you're not feeling anything tight, yay for you. This is one of your sleeper poses. And then inhale your way back to center. Come again to where we started, knees bent, feet on the floor, low back waist off the floor, shoulder blades evenly on your back, weighted evenly on the sacrum. And take a moment. And then slowly stretch your way out to Shavasana. You can slide anything under your knees if you wish. The arms can be as close to the body as you want, palms up, or far away. If they're farther away from the body, you'll cool off a little faster. If they're closer, you will keep the heat in. I'll turn the light out of your eyes. And if you're at home, you can turn the light completely off. Take a few deep, full breaths and sink back into the earth. The bones are weighted. They're very tamas. Everything is tamas in this pose in a good way. The skin, muscles, tissues are all soft, easy, nothing efforting. Belly is soft. Sometimes we keep a lot of residual tension there, even when we're trying to rest. So relax it and invite a deeper, fuller breath into the low belly. The heart center opens. Swallow to soften the throat. Part the back teeth slightly. Part the lips slightly. Hollows of the cheeks soften back and down. Ears and temples soften. Your eyeballs settle back into the cradle of your eye sockets as all the muscles around the eyes release and soften. Third eye center, the space between the eyebrows, softens all the way into the center of the skull. You might even feel a little tingle. Forehead and scalp softens. Begin to deepen your breath. As your breath deepens, bring gentle movement to your fingers and toes, hands and feet, stretching your arms and legs, moving the head back and forth, stretching the face, yawning if you crave a yawn, stretching in any way the body wants to stretch as you wake. Arms can stretch overhead towards the ceiling. Draw your knees in and roll to your side, resting there for a few moments before you pop up into the rest of your day. Just honor the transition, the place in the middle. And rolling a little bit more towards the floor, use the strength of your arms to press yourself up to a seated position and sit well. Sit on something that helps to lengthen the spine. Draw your palms together in front of the heart center. Say the Sanskrit word that essentially means I honor the light in you, in myself, in all beings, and in all things throughout the universe. Namaste.